Right, friends. Today we're going to talk about the state of search in Q2 2026, thanks to the latest Datos and SparkToro report. Three headline findings. AI is growing, search is not shrinking, and Google is keeping more and more users in its ecosystem, unsurprisingly. If we start with desktop activity share, the headline finding is that Europe is adopting AI faster than the US, despite broadly harsher sentiment and tighter rules. And if we look at these two graphs, on the left-hand side you have the US, on the right the EU and the UK. The blue bar is traditional search, the red bar is AI tools, and this shows visits over the last year per quarter. So Europe has led for years. AI tool usage or visits is at 1.91% compared to 1.83% for the US, and traditional search 11.63% compared to 10.52%. And broadly, this is quite interesting because surveyed sentiment towards AI is generally more negative in Europe, and legislative restrictions are tighter. So theoretically, it doesn't make sense, but this is the practiced behavior. And if we move on to organic click-through, unsurprisingly, organic click-through, it fell in both regions while Google-owned destinations took a bigger cut. This is across the EU and the UK and the US markets. If you look at the orange bar at the top, that is the percentage of visits that stay on Google or go to another Google-owned property, like Maps or YouTube. The green bar is the percentage of people that click on an organic non-Google owned property, so it clicks to the open web. Unfortunately, June was a record low for the open web. Nearly 9 percentage points more EU and UK clicks now stay on Google owned properties than 15 months ago. And if we take the EU and European markets, we're just above 40% of clicks going to the open web, which is an extraordinarily low number. And this is for desktop, which is the surface that should generate more clicks. And then if we look at the intent behind searches, information about a topic in the green bar increased significantly over the last year in both the US and the EU and UK markets, although more significantly in the US. We see the same pattern in the EU and the UK. Navigational searches fell hardest on the smaller engines, and purchase intent stayed broadly negligible. And Rand hypothesized this, the trend toward informational and commercial searches and away from navigational ones is surprising given the loss of clicks to the open web. You could be forgiven for thinking that people were just using AI engines or not clicking for informational searches anymore, but that doesn't seem to be true. It could be AI overuse becoming bigger use cases for searches. It is not inherently as obvious to people, unlike you and I, who use Google and think about Google every day, that it is also, with AI mode, a comparable usage or comparable engine to these other answer engines. So it may just take some time for people to be aware of that. Which makes sense when you consider that AI mode is not a big winner for Google right now. AI mode visits in the US have somewhat plateaued, decreased even at 0.13% of total visits. In the EU and UK, they are increasing much more significantly, but that is only off the back of the last month, where they're now at 0.29%. So European adoption either way is significantly ahead of the US market. And if we look at AI user share from March to June of this year, ChatGPT still leads, but Gemini and Claude really did take the quarter's growth. And I think the big story here for everybody is that ChatGPT in the US has plateaued for the last 12 months. In the EU and UK, it has gone down by over 4 percentage points from its peak nearly 12 months ago. Gemini and Claude, Gemini is the purple line, Claude is the orange line, have absolutely taken their market share. And everywhere else goes to the niche versions of sites. Perplexity, Copilot, and DeepSeek all held low single-digit numbers. And in terms of destinations or websites that people go to from search, not any huge stories here, in my opinion. Knowledge and AI gained slightly, social softened. In the US, the top three were YouTube, Reddit, and Amazon in Q2 2025. In Q2 2026, the top three are YouTube, Reddit, and Amazon. In the US, probably the big story is that ChatGPT climbed from number 9 to number 7. And the top 6 were completely unchanged, although actually Google fell out of the top 15. In the EU and UK, I think the most interesting story across both of these is that Wikipedia went from number 7 in Q2 2025 to number 3. That is very interesting. Otherwise, the top 3, 2025 or a year ago, YouTube, Reddit, Facebook, now YouTube, Reddit, and Wikipedia. So all of this really means that search is not being replaced. It is being kept in-house. We know, thanks to the SimilarWeb report, that visibility in AI systems has a real downstream impact, and AI is so proficient in the research phase that people come back through search to find what they now know about, which is how search has always worked. Traditional search has held its share in both regions. Google is retaining more of the journey, Up to 20.4% EU and UK clicks now stay on its own properties. AI is still additive. Its share is rising from a low base, particularly AI mode. Very slowly in the US, it's plateaued. And intent is very research-based, and longer queries continue to rise. So obviously, this is what we do. We work with a number of publishers and people in the media space. We look at how well set up you are for the future of search, your resilience to AI, your potential to attract emerging audiences. And then we do more platform-specific work around video and audio and Google Discover. If we can help at all, message me on LinkedIn or Substack. You know where I am. And our website is djbstrategies.com. That's it for this one. I hope that was useful. Speak to you all soon.